Good morning, ladies.
Hi, Tim.
How we doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Good.
The sun is shining.
Yes, it is.
Sorry about that. I had to take care of a phone call real quick.
Sure.
I can't believe it's so warm outside when it was just what, 0.
Or even below that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yes, I will too.
Flip-flops and shorts.
I'm not there yet.
Hey, Fran,
Yes. Oh, you froze
you
up,
have your
Jerry.
notes from the last meeting.
I do.
Okay. Can we start out the meeting by having you review those?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Joanne. Alan and
Hi there.
Tim.
Hello.
Sorry.
I'm here.
Hello.
Would it be preferable if we share the screen? And I think, can you share the screen, Fran?
I
Or
would think so.
do that, Jerry, or no?
Oh, with some notes? That would be great.
If you can do that, Fran, or I can do it, I think I have a copy of those as well. So whatever works best.
If you want to do that, Joanna, I'm good with that. See
Okay,
who
let
finds
me-
it first.
Oh, it's so
How's that?
nice to be between two so accommodating people.
See who can find it first.
You can find it first. Ah. We just had
I
a
found it.
meeting
Okay.
about with the governor, and I had to write down a few of his down home style is really interesting. The down home language.
Oh, so you write some of his phrases?
Yeah, dang thing, get that dang thing passed, and it's just kind of interesting. uh,
I'm
Or
getting
keep-
hypnotized by John's fan.
You know what? I just turned it off because it does that to people. And the next thing they're falling asleep and they can't pay attention.
It's like you can't not look at it.
Well, I wasn't looking at it until you brought it up.
Sorry.
It's good.
There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hello.
Alan, your windows look good as usual.
Oh, did you change him?
Oh, we changed them like I don't know, 3 weeks ago, I think.
3 weeks ago? It's been that long since I've been by there. Yikes.
Yeah, it's just
I like them. It's squares. And
simple shapes. And the sun actually, they turn during the day, so it's kind of fun internally
yeah,
to see
it's
the
great.
mobile.
The only person that wasn't available today was Lisa.
Okay.
She's got a conference all week.
Well, since we didn't do an formal agenda, which to me is always the basis of doing a meeting, but we didn't do one, I'm sorry. I thought what we should do first is review the minutes from the last meeting. We had a report from the BDC meeting that everyone, that you attended and brought your ideas forward, and then figuring out what we're gonna do, what we might recommend. 3 pieces, okay?
Okay.
Somebody has something different, holler, but I think it is good to start out with minutes.
So are you ready for me to share the screen, Jerry?
I
Yeah,
think
because this is
so.
everybody.
We got everybody.
Is that legible to everybody?
Mhm.
Yes.
And then just advise me when I need to scroll down, please.
Okay, Jerry asked me just to review
Mhm.
kind of the notes. Laura and Jerry did excellent notes, so I didn't need to add much at all. But first we talked about, I kind of went over past activities and current activities and current and past means of communication, which is included with the notes that I sent out. And then we talked about what was our goal of this committee. And Laura's got on here, Kara talked about too many silos and the need to be under an umbrella so the business districts could talk better and be more unified. And Tim was commenting about the difficulties without trade associations in the other districts, it's difficult to communicate. And the items that Laura put under the distinct business district issues, I thought were very good, about getting more businesses to participate, because that's, I think, one of the key things, as we've all seen all the vacancies on the various commissions, as well as having a better way to coordinate the activities that everybody is doing, especially when we're talking about planning. And identifying how do we do that and who does that, and how we can focus on event planning and just communicating in general. The ideas and possible actions, I think is one of the things that we had talked about that we would need to do today, is what our next steps were. And Laura's got some really good ones here. How do we incent businesses to participate and be a part of things? John had mentioned last time down in Old Orchard that it's difficult just sometimes to get the businesses engaged in just something that's going on in Old Orchard, much less across Webster wide. So assigning a liaison from the business district on each of the commissions was one of the ideas. Holding a business forum, which we've had in the past, which seemed to be very good, especially getting some one-on-one kind of meet and greet. You could always get a lot more results from folks when you're not in person if you've already established that in-person connection. Renew the efforts of the BDC to welcome new businesses. I think that's an excellent idea. I was talking to one of the business districts persons that reached out to a new person, and that new person was just kind of lost. So provide events for business owners to meet informally, such as the art. That was Rebecca's idea of maybe doing some sort of thing in conjunction with the art fair for the business owners. We want to make sure that we're including non-retail and restaurant businesses. And we did talk about a specific thing on big events as an example, the holiday open house in Old Webster and the tree lighting, which usually is in Old Orchard. They did do one last year, but they could do one this year. Jerry's notes reflected similar things. Joanne, if you want to scroll down. We talked about one of the big things that we need to is a present ability is our email address and constant contact, and who that represents and who that doesn't represent. There is the business owner's Facebook page, which is managed by myself and 2 other business owners in Old Webster, John Soder and Stacy Swiderska. the Inside Quarterly newsletter, and then, of course, all the business-related stuff that Creative Entourage is doing. Comments from that side of the notes included kind of a reflection of what was it Laura had put in. And it's just the better communication is one of the key factors that seems to be an issue. And the other next step was how do we, and then this is a big issue too, and it's been talked about in the BDC. How do we involve the businesses that are in areas that aren't in an official business district? And so they do not have a revenue stream to, you know, put in the pot, put in the kitty, but how do we connect with them? Anybody have anything they want to add to that?
Okay. Thank you, Fran, for renewing that, because that kind of jogs all of our memory about what we discussed and some of the ideas put forward. Can somebody then report on what happened at the BDC meeting? What you discussed, what the response was to this?
Kara and Tim were basically the spokespersons at the BDC meeting. You guys want to chime in?
Okay, you can get rid of the screen sharing then, I think, or we can make it smaller.
So I'll chime in a little bit. We mostly just reviewed what we talked about in this group at the Business Development Committee. It seemed like people were certainly on board with the importance of this and kind of the general theme of trying to work together to increase participation and unity throughout the businesses. They did ask kind of what our action items were, and I said, you know, we're not to that point yet, so we hope to report back. So there wasn't a ton of further discussion. Tim, am I missing anything?
Not really. You know, we just kind of reported to them what we discussed here. I think it's about action items really at this point. What's unfortunate is, the people that are there at the business district and the people that are sitting here right now are the people that care, and it's how are we going to get to everyone else. So they all are very interested and want to know, and how can they help, I think, but it's where we go from here.
Laura, you were there too. Anything you want to add to this?
No, I think Tim and Kara are exactly right. I think they're very open to action items, and I think we as a group need to identify a few steps that we'd like the BDC to take and push it forward.
Okay. So there we go. Any other general comments before we talk about let's figuring out what steps we need to take? So I'm going to throw that open to all of you. We had lots of ideas. You've been to the BDC, time to think about it. So now let's talk about what are we going to recommend action items?
Can
Yes.
I start by just asking to clarify so that I can help maybe brainstorm or bring ideas to the table? What are our overreaching large goals? They to bring awareness to the businesses in Webster Groves. Would that be one? All of the businesses, those in the retail districts and those not? Can somebody maybe help me list or clarify those? Get more people to participate in the events that we have. Is that another goal?
I think we started out, and the rest of you jump in, with an idea that we would that's another phone. We would create, or we would be responsible for the big picture of businesses in Webster Groves. I'm so sorry, I can't turn that thing off quite yet.
Mayor Welch, I'll jump in.
ahead.
I think I think that the long-term goal is just more participation. From my perspective, a short-term goal is probably to just increase engagement of all the businesses in Webster Groves. And then from there, work to unite the business districts under more of one umbrella to ensure, sorry, I've got a 2-year-old now, to ensure that everyone feels part of the Webster Groves business community. And then from there, I think we'll be able to build on events, communication strategies, all of that good stuff. But just that engagement piece is what I see as the first and most important next step.
And I think you're right. I think there's an internal piece here of all of us, all the businesses working together, participating together. But I also think there's an external piece too of saying, for example, come and shop in Webster Groves so that people get an idea that this whole community has a lot of businesses here. Come and eat in Webster Groves rather than eat in a specific business district. So I think it's both internal and external.
You know, and I was going to say, John had asked, what if we pull back, what's the overarching goal? And the overarching goal is to create an environment where all of our businesses thrive. And whether they're doing architecture or they're restaurant or they're retail or they do laboratory testing in Owen Ridge, we want all of our businesses to thrive. And to do one of the ways to do that is through creating collaborative networks of people that are aware and have each other's backs, so that we're at least, you know, there's a lot of lack of awareness of all the businesses in our community. And that would be one thing I think we should bring to the table, is to say, hey, look at the diversity. It's not just shopping and dining, it's a lot more. So that would be my 2 cents.
I know that I'm not aware of a lot of the businesses that are out there besides in the varying districts. And maybe one action type goal, maybe this is down the line, but I'd love to have like an online, personally, I would love to have an online or maybe old school yellow pages that basically you could look by category. So we kind of understood what's here. Like, it's hard to know what's in somebody's house or what is on Big Bend as you cross the Clede station on the other side past, you know, the college school. Like, I'm not even aware of so many things. And I was like, gosh, yellow pages would be neat, or something, like some way for everybody in our community to know that there's all these other little, last time I mentioned a print shop, from print shops to, you're saying laboratory testing, or on the side street back behind Jackson and Selma, there's an animal grooming place, right? Like, so these things that you just don't know about that are off the beaten path. Anyway, that's a simple little thing. I don't know how that would compile, but
Well, there
I think
is
the people in
something
Webster Groves
online.
alone would find value in knowing what they have in their own community. I would.
Keep talking.
I don't know. I could keep, that was just my own one little thing. I mean, when we get into events and those kind of things about bringing more awareness to the people in the districts, I think that's a whole nother story. We all know those are there. We can see them, and bringing people to us, whether it's the Christmas events, the tree lighting, or whether it's the art fair, we get people into our community during those events. And during those, we need to somehow communicate to our small businesses, have signage up, be advertising on your own social media. We should all be saying, hey, we're here, come visit us this day when you come to the art fair. And so there's an opportunity maybe to get us all seen at these events and unify us for that. But just within the community itself, Webster residents need to know more about these things that are there. And then I think that might even communicate, people on the outside will find out more about them the more we know about them. And I wonder if there's a way to compile that kind of, I mentioned last time that there's a guy who does letterpress stationery down the street on the other side of the Clede station on Big Bend. I just happened to look at the property for sale, and he had this whole old letterpress machine back in a building behind this building. And I left and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's doing old letterpress. And therefore we've used him now to do stationery. And it surprises me that I don't think anybody else in Webster knows about this guy, and people should. And what other kind of stuff like that is, there's a lot of eclectic artists and people in Webster that somehow we could help be found just by our residents. I think our residents want to support the little guy. They want to support the off the beaten path. They want to support small business. How do we help people find those people?
Well, I think one of the ways you could is to make it a fun game. And if we did do an event at the art festival and collaborate with Webster Arts, I've seen on virtual events a did you know kind of thing. Did you know? And I experienced it through people talking about history. Did you know this happened and that happened? And it's kind of fun. It's like a multiple choice quiz. Or if we are able to do something in person, did you know there's a guy on Big Ben that has an old letterpress machine? And you can make it a game where people win a prize or recognition or whatever, and make these things fun. You know, I've always wanted to do a visual trivia game. You know, where in Webster can you find a big fork attached to the front of a building? Does anyone know the answer to that question?
Art of entertaining.
Art of entertaining, absolutely. You know, and you could go around and take cute little pictures of stuff like that. Like, that's kind of fun. And that's trivia. And make a game out of it so it's enjoyable. I mean, no one's going to go to the Explore Webster and study the directory for 2 hours straight. That's no fun. So you got to make it fun.
Or somebody with
Ellen, Karen? Kara.
Oh, sorry. I said I am interested in one of John's points. And I think one of my issues is that I probably don't know all of the resources that are currently available. So if there is a business directory, I know anytime I need something done on my house, I look at the Community Connect because I trust my neighbors. They probably have a similar old house and they've, you know, I mean, it's word of mouth. It's someone who's recommended by someone else who, you know, I have that intrinsic trust to. So if we could do something like that, like here is the directory. Do you even know this exists? I think a lot of this is probably part of a promotional campaign that would be working to let people know about the businesses that aren't super visible in Webster. B, it would be able to nurture some of those smallest businesses to possibly make them one of those more recognizable businesses in the future. And C, just connect Webster residents to the opportunities to spend their dollars in our neighborhood, which I think Webster has such a unique sense of pride and obviously some kind of dispensable income to support some of these businesses that I think it would probably be a campaign that would be pretty successful.
So it could be as simple as a Facebook campaign. Did you know?
Right.
We have a letterpress guy on Big Bend Avenue. Did you know? You know that.
And then you could link them to the directory.
The
right?
directory, yeah.
And now,
if it's
of course, like you're
repeating
saying,
thing.
it's not, no one's going to look through the directory, but maybe it could be cleaned up to be a little bit more. Remember the old yellow pages, how they would have like one block would have like a picture, right? Like there's a lot of neat, I don't know. There used to be like sections it wasn't just like the white pages, right? Where you just scan data, right? They're placed into sections. So it's a little more readable. And another example I have is the Stained Glass Window Brothers. I forget the name, but they're over there in the Zeta Del section there. The two brothers that do the leaded glass and stained glass windows. We've used them several times. They're one of two companies in St. Louis that can do work at that level, maybe even three, but they're kind of a little gem in our community that I don't think people know about. And they've been doing it for a long time and are respected at the highest level around St. Louis.
And in the country.
Yeah. Webster Window and Door is also a little secret find. I just found, I mean, I've been here 15 years and I just started using them in the last 2 years. And Robert and once again, another set of brothers, they've become someone I go to regularly also for a really quality door and window. And those would be the kind of things too. I think that if you did like a Facebook page, maybe use Explore Webster and maybe find somebody on the, I don't know if we're allowed to, what's that almost chat room Facebook page that I know a lot of residents use to complain.
Oh, next door?
The community connect.
No, that's the community
connect.
connect.
Places to connect and get this stuff through social media to Webster people that someone could start a campaign and start to choose 10 a week, 10 of these little gems, and just kind of, and then people could even begin to start to vote for their own, right? Like you would have already heard 3 or 4 of mine that I would vote for. The Webster Window and Door, the Stained Glass. I forget the brothers' names. Can anybody help me there? What's the name of their company?
It's not Crosby, is it?
Yeah,
Crosby.
Crosby. Yeah,
Crosby.
that's a neat little thing we have there, I think. They redid the Civil Alchemy leaded glass for us and have done several leaded and stained glass for us now.
And that may be something we could talk to Creative Entourage about, because while they do, I think, a really good job on our Facebook page, a lot of times what they do is amplify the existing great press that our businesses are getting, you know, the Feast Magazine, the Post-Dispatch, the Riverfront Times. But if we give them a mission to more find these little gems that aren't getting these big name press opportunities, that's a good way to A, get them more content, which I know that they're always struggling to find, but B, to highlight some of the lesser known places in Webster as well.
Well, I don't know if it's so much for them to identify these things. I think that kind of falls on us. I think that's what our deal is here, is to put this directory together, you know, the Yellow Page directory. It's not going to go out to anybody, but where we can list where these things are, and then we can push it. You know, the next item down the list is push it to them and have them do it. But I think it's kind of our job. You know, I don't know if we do it with business licenses. I don't know if we do it, you know, how we can put this all together. But I think the first action item is actually to identify all of the businesses in Webster. And then start
Wait a
separating them.
second, isn't there, there's the Explore Webster Groves, there is a directory and it is online. Am I wrong there?
Is everything on there? Or what John's talking about? Are those businesses part of it?
It's a listing. It's a listing. And so
It's the white pages.
And it's by category, right?
the white pages,
Not-
and that's all it is. And
Yeah.
you know, you have a base there to work from.
Right? Start.
You have
Well,
to
how do
know
we
what you're
get
looking
updates?
for. That's the dictionary example I gave last time. You have to know what you're looking for.
Mm.
You have to know the company's name. You have to know, it's not even geographically organized.
It's more
But if I
white
could
pages than
insert-
yellow
It's,
pages.
it's definitely more white pages. It's not yellow pages focused at
So
all.
Yellow
And
pages
so when
allow,
you're talking about hundreds of businesses, you can get lost in just the scrolling down the white pages thing. And it's
Here,
alphabetical.
let me share the screen and let's pull it up so that everybody sees what it is.
Could I
Because don't
insert
even use
something,
it.
please?
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So we will be working on a website update in the next few months, if city council approves us to do such. And that will be an opportunity for us to update many things, including that. So this conversation is very important. But my question is, I'm not sure how we would keep the business directory up to date, because as you know, even the restaurant schedule that we have on the website is hard to keep up to date because there's a lot of businesses that close in a short period of time. Potentially, this would be something that our city manager might have our new public affairs person look into. So we might want to have a conversation, meaning Laura, Jerry, and I might want to have a conversation with her about that. But it's just a thought that I'd like to insert.
I'll volunteer Mara since she's not here. I'm sure she's got some.
She has plenty to do.
One of the nice things is we have this software that we do our business licenses with now, and we can add other options to it. And we're hoping that in the future, businesses can update or renew their business licenses, as well as get new business licenses online. So we can get more information that way than what we've been able to do in the past. And it will help tremendously with even getting email addresses. And if people really want to share things about their businesses, that would be wonderful. And I think John's idea about us learning about these small little hidden gems would be helpful if we had extra information when they apply for their business license, if they sell themselves a little bit more and give us those little nuggets of information that we can publicize.
think, Joanne, that raises a point that is the second half of the conversation we had last time. You know, I haven't been the liaison to the BDC for very long, but I have gone to business district meetings. The same people show up all the time, right? And so again, this is additional labor for people who are already doing the work. So one of the things we talked about last time is how to get more people involved. And if we're incentivizing things, maybe part of the incentivizing is, you know, you start showing up at meetings and we're much more likely to highlight your business. That may not seem fair, but there ought to be some benefit to being one of the good business citizens of Webster Groves.
That's a good point.
It's a very good point. Okay, Alan, can you screen share part of that so that what I think what you're saying, or what I'm hearing, is that we have a lot of information there, but it's not very zingy. So
Oh,
there we go.
so I would assume I would go to the businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is how it is laid out, right?
Yep, that's it.
That's the one.
791 listings.
791 white page listings.
What are the categories? I know I've seen this before, but so there are some categories. Is there some categorization?
So shopping, professional services, and this is probably based on what we fill out with our business license, I'm assuming, because I'm considered a professional service.
Let's hit that and see what comes up.
So like there's a recruiting firm. So like you
100
said, I mean,
119 listings.
yeah.
So perhaps one action item for the BDC is to review our business line application so that we have more ability to tag by category when we upload these kinds of things.
And I think she was saying, I'm sorry, about adding, being able to renew online would make that much easier, right? Like you could have 20 or 30 different descriptions instead of 10, and then you check a box and say, I'm a architect, I'm an interior designer, window and glass, cabinetry, you could have, and break it down a little bit more to where people could, and then from there you could market. I mean, I think, does this seem difficult to look through? I mean, I didn't know anything about this. I don't know how, if it was categorized different into more of a yellow pages type scenario, would I have gone and looked at this more often? Would I know about this? I don't know if I would, but this seems daunting on some level.
So what we're really talking about here, and I think Laura's suggestion that maybe the first thing you do is take a look at the business licenses to see what kind of information is provided and what might be more useful. But I think what we're saying is we have an awful lot of information, but it's not in a way that is useful for the average household. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so.
With what he's typing in here, I mean, there's some information here.
Yeah, I'm just using just generic things just to see how.
Right. No, and I think that's good. You type in grooming, there's more than one groomer in Webster Groves. So, you even typing in your own business, I don't know what category you would come up in if it wasn't professional.
I don't even know how I get to the next. I mean, it says 1 of 14, but I can't figure out. Oh, there it is. Right here. But I'm not even listed as an architect. So.
Wow.
So I don't know how, I mean, this is just, and I think Tangent Architecture, I want to say they're not even in business, but anyway. So I don't even know what, like, I'm even listed at this point. So like architectures, I mean, they're down the street from me. They're the same as I am, interior design and architecture. So it just basically just shows that some of the search information is probably not up to date. I do like the fact that there are these websites so that you can get to that. I think the other thing that would be nice is if you could have category, if you're like, hey, I just want to go search Old Webster, or I want to search what's over in, like, what's the place where Jimmy John's, General Grant?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. So, I mean, if I wanted to see what Yorkshire was, or where Maypop is, I mean, it'd be kind of nice if there was like a map here, and if I was looking at this, that I could click an area, so to speak, in Owen development, you know, to see what's in there. So,
Alan, I hear maybe something you said there, that if we get these applications online and you have your address in there, and then if people check a box that categorizes them by the type of their business, you could almost have this thing mapped
right.
to where it would be much more user-friendly into the current age of technology, which I don't know what type of, it doesn't seem that advanced for a website person to do. I don't think we're talking, costing us too much money, is it?
No, I think it's filtering. It's like you said, the information's there, the data's there. It's just, how is it being filtered? You know,
Well, I think one
so-
of the things is that when people fill out their business license application, we ask them to describe the types of services they're providing. I will look at yours though, Alan, because I don't know why you're not listed properly. And when we get off this meeting, I will look to see where you're classified, and I'll make sure that you are under architect.
maybe I'm a dentist.
You know, the other interesting thing in you know, poking around in here is some businesses had a brief text description and some did not. And if we're taking those applications online, it should be pretty easy to provide a space for a business to say, all right, you get X number of words to describe who you are, so that when this comes up, there is at least a little bit. Yeah, there we go.
There it is, architectural and interior design firm. So, I mean,
Mandatory.
Alan, I wonder if you searched in some of the websites I've managed, we've had this problem, like architectural, if you would come up, because a lot of times it's a keyword issue.
yeah.
No.
Can I
Which
share my
that's fine.
screen?
I mean, but this is just one of those things. I mean, this is a good way just to see, even within this group, there's a hiccup. And so we would just want to make sure that we correct those so that everybody does have the opportunity.
You know, and this may be the perfect time to have this discussion, because we are going to we have a new person coming online, and we are going to do a revamp of our website. And so, and we will have new business requirements in April or so, Joanne? So this is really perfect timing for this discussion.
Mhm.
Well, and to be able to coordinate the new website, kind of an audit of the business lists that we have now, along with the application documents and just how that process flows, I think is a really good thing to look at. When I was at the city, we had something, I think it was called the Business Development Center. And just because of the way of the fragmentation of city government, we had a one-stop shop that kind of just would walk a new business or prospective business owner through every single step, connect them to all the people that they needed to be connected to, and just kind of check in with them over the first few quarters to make sure that everything was going okay, if they needed any connection, if they needed help, just because we know that this stuff is so hard to navigate and there's so many different steps and processes along the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Could I
That suggestion has come up several times, that we do something where the city tries to provide that kind of help for new businesses. That's an old suggestion that we've never really managed to get off the ground.
Yeah, and just my experience in the BDC, it seems like Mara acts as that in an unofficial role, but I know that she has so much on our plate. And even for the city of St. Louis, I think it was a 1 or 2 person shop, but it was one of the most effective things that we probably did.
Ooh.
I was wondering if I could show everyone for just a moment what the chamber directory looks like. Is it, could I have the ability to share my screen?
Yeah, I think
And I won't take very long, but it does
Yeah.
give you a map and it does give you great categories just for you to see. And of course, obviously the chamber is 3 communities, not just Webster. So,
And it is purchasing to be in there, so.
right, and then you're
Yeah.
purchasing to be in there. But I just thought,
But it is a good,
can you see my screen?
yes.
yes.
Okay, so it gives you a map. This is in the directory and this is caterers. But if I do restaurants, let's see if we can see John Bars. Yeah, you do have to pay to get into it, but the Frisco Bar Room is
Mhm.
there, and then you can see it on a map. Okay.
Oh,
So,
nice. That's much more
yeah, so
modern
you
and
can
friendly.
get
Yes,
in
usable.
there and see it. So just so you know, that is sort of the, and then it's got your website and I believe there's enhancements I can do with my system. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that's something that's a possibility.
That's
Well,
good.
yeah,
That's good, Rebecca. Thank you.
I think the other thing would be nice is just understand which home-based businesses there are, because once we know what we have within the business districts and those that are in various areas, but it's creating that incubator that they hopefully eventually get a storefront, or, you know, if they're artists or whatever, we want them to eventually be in these business districts. I mean, that, and out of their homes. At least that's what I would think. It just, you know, we're growing them internally within our own zip code, so to speak. So.
And you know, that's a separate application. So that's another application that probably needs to be updated in a way that when it can be done online, we can just import the data in a way that, you know, makes it easy to be a part of a directory.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that's a little bit harder and maybe a different animal that we should talk about, because I notice when we get the monthly report of businesses that have gone out of business, they tend to be folks who've started a home business. You know, we've got a lot of people who have a construction quote unquote business, which is, you know, one electrician, and then they go out of business. So I think we have to think about that just a little bit differently.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I also do think, and you know, my IT skills are limited, but there should be a way to write some of this programming so that if the license isn't renewed, that it doesn't show up again the following year in the directory.
Yeah, I agree.
So just as a side note, if you don't mind, what we try to do on that is we give extensions to businesses. So we try not to have them in that list, but sometimes they're still open for business. They just haven't renewed their license. They're past due on payment for that. We still have a process for that though.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that if we're trying to help them stay in business and be, you know, facilitate that process, that we should purge them right away. But I think there should be a point where if the license hasn't been renewed, that they fall out of the directory.
Right. I understand. That makes sense.
And I like, by the way, the fact that we do work with people to try and help them do that. That's a good thing.
Can I switch gears a little bit?
Mhm.
We're talking about all these little hidden gems, and then I had a conversation with Stacy Swiderska the other day, and she has started working out at the Exercise Coach, which is literally next door to her business. And the employees that she was working with had no idea what her business was. So there's hidden gems within the big business areas. She just was floored. They're literally next door
Well,
to each
you know,
other.
Tara spoke about silos. Now that is a silo.
No, I used to go to I had been a real exercise coach person. And they always talked about what was next door on sale at Stacy's. I mean, that was a continuous conversation. She'd put those racks out in the front and it was, okay, what'd you see out there today? If they don't know what's next door, I can't help them.
But what
Because
it made me-
Stacy's,
I don't know how you fixed that one. It's kind of
What
like.
it
I
made
don't
me think
either,
of
but-
is all the employees that are working for the professional services and all that kind of thing that just drive in and out every day, but don't know what's right next door. You know, they could be doing the restaurants at lunch, but the tax person or the lawyer they didn't know was there. So there's
Hmm.
like the hidden gems aren't just in little bitty spots. They're
they're next
right there
door.
in the big districts.
Yeah.
So, okay, so are we recommending our first course of action? And I think Laura is the one who takes the most perfect note.
Oh,
That we're going to recommend our first course of action be that we address the idea that we need to promote our own businesses, and we need to promote our own businesses by ensuring that we're providing enough knowledge to folks in the community. We're going to talk about how we do a really good business directory, how we promote, asking perhaps Creative Entourage to look for more of the little gems in town. Is that the first course of action that we're looking for?
Seems like a good first step. And then maybe
We also
then from
talked
there,
about engagement.
there a
about
marketing
engagement?
campaign to promote that.
Yeah, and attach that to some marketing and PR.
yeah, and I think that is a conversation or direction to Creative Entourage, right? I mean, since they're doing that marketing already, how is it that they can incorporate what we're talking about in what they do already?
And maybe Joanne, since are you or Fran the liaison with Creative Entourage, you might even begin today by having that conversation with them and asking them to start thinking about some of these? Or are they so paid by the business districts that they can't, for example, reach out to the Crosby brothers?
No, so the way it is set up right now is oftentimes they find postings in other locations, such as what Kara had mentioned earlier. So in order to find the little gems, they would probably have to do the initial research themselves, as opposed to where they typically find the postings shared elsewhere already. So we can ask them, I can ask them if they would do that and what the cost would be, but it would be an additional cost, I'm certain.
Okay. All
Well, it
right.
does sort of, it logically goes to the next question, which is how to get more people involved, right? Because if,
That's the next.
you know, one of these, if our friends who make, you know, beautiful leaded glass could say to Creative Entourage, look, here's some pictures and something we've been working on, they'll take that and run with it. But we also seem to have a problem that not enough of our businesses know to do that or know how to do that.
But maybe we do something similar to what we do with Webster University and Jennifer Starkey right now, where it's another grouping of, I don't know what we would call the group, but if we contact the little gems and have them work to do their videos of those little businesses, that would be great PR, in my opinion. I don't know if they would be willing to do that, but at least it's a start.
Well, and I know we have mixed feelings about the Community Connect, but I think some of these kind of crowdsourcing opportunities would be like kind of a fun post and say, hi, I'm Kara from the Webster Business Development Commission. What are the little gems in Webster? What don't we know about? What needs to be highlighted? And people
What's
like
your
that.
favorite little unknown thing you like to share with friends outside of Webster?
Oh,
I
what
think
a
you
great
also-
idea.
I think you also mentioned earlier a way to get those businesses actually involved. I think this was talked about in the last meeting. That, you know, could crowdsource to find these little businesses I'm sure between us, we could think of some, but there's other ones people are going to have. I have a girl that worked for me who started her own cookie company, and she's doing it out of her house now. I don't know if she's licensed or not, so I'm not going to call
She
her out
lives in
here.
Field now, so it doesn't matter. That's where her kids.
Yeah.
But ideally, by crowdsourcing, we can have people, and I think it'd be fun, find all these places for us. But also in the last meeting, we mentioned, there are to get people, the businesses involved in actually these meetings, and the next steps and the next levels are the memberships to the, the freebies that you get. It goes, I feel good having my free gym membership. There's also, did someone in this meeting mention, like, is there a way to, I don't know, you could you move your business up to the top of the newly designed Explore Webster Groves yellow pages by having a representative on one of, I don't know if that's fair or how that actually works, but by getting participation, there's some perk or something your business receives or your employees receive, would be a way.
Well, and to John's point, I mean, I think the incentives are a great idea, but I think we also need to make sure that in these organizations that there's even room for all of these business districts. I mean, I think Alan noted last time that there wasn't a crossroads spot on the Business Development Commission. Am I right? I mean, if they don't even have a chance for representation, then that's kind of the first issue that we need to tackle, I would say.
I think, let me just make sure I understand what you're saying, Kara. There is an opportunity for someone from Crossroads to be on it. It's just that we can't get the participation. We can't get someone from Crossroads to represent. Is that what you're meaning?
No, I'm sorry. I must have misunderstood last time. I thought there wasn't even a seat at the table.
No, we are required with the Business Development Commission to have one person from each of the business districts. We just can't get someone from Crossroads.
Well, good. That's an issue that doesn't need to be solved.
Also, as a
No,
side
it
note-
does. It does need to be solved. And Laura and I are part of a new little committee that we're putting together to look at our boards and commissions. Maybe we just need to, I don't know, we have to think about perhaps figuring out some way of ensuring that we have someone from each of these business districts.
And
I have a
maybe,
question.
is that like a once a month thing?
Mhm.
What is that? I mean, what's the
Yes, once a
commitment?
month.
I mean, maybe if Lark is on this committee, I join that. I mean, we don't both need to be on this one potentially. Or if she wants to be on that one. I'm just saying, because that's part of the problem with our district is that I just feel there's a lack of communication. The good part is I feel, it's changing. It's morphing into something that I had hoped for when I moved my business here. And so we're not just a drive up, pick it up, and then leave kind of thing. People are, walking on the street, pedestrians, things like that. So anyway, so that's something that maybe Lisa and I could talk about, one of us possibly filling that, if that's something that would help our district.
Mhm. And it's just an hour a month.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we need to add to one of our future BDC agendas, a conversation with our city attorney to discuss the potential combination of the three business districts. We had this conversation several years ago with a prior city attorney. And I just think it would be helpful to understand why it's difficult to combine them, and then explain some of the information and the research we did in the past with regard to why we couldn't include Yorkshire and other businesses that aren't part of the district in that funding mechanism. And if everyone is interested in that, potentially I could get that set up, because I think that would be helpful. It doesn't mean we can't do it. I think it'd be better if everybody understood what the challenges have been.
Makes sense.
All right, so we need, I'm respectful of everybody's time, and so we will put something together to talk about this review of the business licenses and all of the areas that we've talked about in that regard. We still haven't talked about getting more people involved. We talked about the possibility of some sort of freebies. We talked about someone like Kara putting something out that says share your favorite little gems in Webster Groves. That would be easy to do, wouldn't it? You could just do that today. We don't, if that's okay with the
I
group.
like that idea.
Okay,
I
if
do
everyone's
too.
good with it, I'll just post it.
All right, good, perfect. And then we still need to talk about, again, how we get more people involved, maybe how we coordinate some events. Those are things that are another good discussion. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So, Jerry, Mayor, let me ask a logistical question here. So do we want to go ahead, since we were pretty clear on what the first recommendation is, and make that recommendation to the BDC and then say, and we're going to continue meeting because we'll have more for you, but at least that starts the ball rolling.
Would you be agreeable to take this to the BDC, our first recommendation, and then continue to meet again and further our discussions? Would that be agreeable? I see Kara, yes.
Mhm.
John,
I am.
Alan, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we'll see if we can, and Rebecca, I missed you over in there. You're in my corner. So we'll do that, Fran, and you and Laura. All of you are on the BDC, so we can figure that out.
Well, Fran, why don't you and I try and come up with a written document that we at least can show people before we go to the BDC and see if that
yeah.
gives us some
Right.
consensus there.
Yeah, good. I'll throw my notes out to you two. You two could
Great.
take it with my notes. Okay, anything else? Shall we meet again? We did this sort of before or the first week of March. Should we meet again the first week of April? When does the BDC meet?
The fourth Thursday of the month.
Should we try for us to meet in early April?
Sounds good to me. Like a
Works.
week
Yeah, I don't
right
think
after
we'll-
that.
I don't think we want to wait any longer than that.
No, but we like to get ourselves in between the BDC meetings. So
Mhm.
if we do that in early April, that'll be a good time to do that. Great. All right, anything else? Do you all know about the use tax? On the April 6th ballot, we have a use tax on the ballot. The use tax is a tax on out-of-state purchases where a sales tax is not collected already. The primary benefit of this is for local businesses because it closes the loophole that a lot of businesses have, makes their things cheaper if you buy them online as opposed to buying them locally. So it's a benefit for our businesses. I also think, because you all are part of this Business Development Commission, that it actually might attract some new businesses. Because if you're like a company that's going to buy, $100,000 worth of furniture, you're going to head online to do that because then you don't have to pay that. You don't have to pay the sales tax. So it's kind of silly for you to buy furniture off of some local person because big purchases like that for big businesses really have a financial impact. And if we get the use tax passed and the state legislature passes the statewide tax, then there will be no advantage for companies that have equipment and furniture and computers to be solely online. And we may be able to attract businesses like that into our area. I'm hoping so. Any questions?
Jerry, just to add on to that, the city has produced informational cards, yard signs. If any of you are interested in having any of that at your business, or if you want me to drop a yard sign off at your house, I have some in the back of my car right now, and I'd be happy to do that.
If you live on a major street.
Or
mean, I think
you're,
Hmm,
you
Go
you
ahead.
could put it in your storefront. I mean, I'd take some.
Yes.
I mean, like that's how, then
see you
people will
this
know.
afternoon, John.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You leave it, no, leave it at the bar, at the Frisco, the bartender will take it,
Okay.
hand it to him. 90% of what gets given to him makes it to me. So hopefully this makes it in that 90%.
Great. And we
Thank you.
will package up for you some small cards that you can put on your counter. Laura will do that, and I have an information sheet if you want to add that information sheet along with those, so that if John has any questions or any questions come with that use tax. Great, thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you all.
Anybody else want one for their front window? Okay, good enough. Thank
I'm
you.
not quite open yet, but we'll be soon.
Well, is there anybody there, Tim?
No, actually, well, today I think we had a couple people over there actually putting the window so that we can start our kind
Okay,
of
good
internal
enough.
redesign.
Great. And Fran is also available because she is now going to take on also distributing some of these materials. So you can call Laura or Fran or
Didn't mean
me.
to steal your thunder, Fran.
Oh,
Oh, no,
for it.
it's okay. She's there. We're all here. You know, we all work together. So whatever works. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you very much for your service
everybody.
and your work.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
See you next month.
See ya.